So I was watching. Is that window still open? It is. Hold on. Hold on. So I was watching um, the X-Men '97 series. I'm like the second to last episode, and hold on. And watching it, and during the ads, I just scroll shorts on my phone on not shorts, scroll reels on Instagram. But I was just watching one, and um, they were talking about the whole like Kai dancing on the table thing, doing the quote unquote devil dance, right? But when you actually watch the clip of him dancing, he's listening to "This Is America" in the background. And when you look at what he's doing what Childish Gambino is doing in the music video. He's literally he's just mimicking that dance. He's doing that, you know. But it's super funny. And then people are bringing up the clip of him saying, "Oh, if he cuts all his dreads, it's not him." And then also in the same video in the same description, it said how no one can supposedly find the clip or the video of him saying it or whatever the fuck. I doubt that's true. Pretty sure it's on here somewhere, but I'm gonna try and find it. But I don't know. It just sucks. We're all kind of just not that we're stupid, but this is all. I don't know, dude. It's just it sucks, dude. It sucks so much. There's so much suffering everywhere. And really, when I think about, it, I just think of children. As children are the weakest. They can't do anything. Shit, a good chunk of them. It's not most of them are abused by their parents because they're hit when they do bad things. When they do a no. You know, and it's sad because you don't think, or the adults in the situation. It's either they don't think that it's abuse or they don't care that it's abuse because they just that's just how it is. You know, you just beat your kids. You know, because they're being bad or whatever the fuck. Well, let me try to find it. If I cut my dreads. Mm, X. Okay, I found a TikTok video, and I'm gonna play it.
I'm underwater. My network is off. I'm in the ocean. I'm on the way to Antarctica.
Oh, okay, so they clipped the two fucking things together. Well, that's not what I wanted. And fuck. Damn it. Sad part is now it's really hard to find it because you're just gonna find people. You're just gonna find people, dozens and dozens and dozens of people just talking about they can't find the clip, pretty much. Mm, it's not funny to me, entertaining enough to hold my attention in more than 5 seconds. Or cut off his trend. Okay, alright, whatever. I don't. But I also don't think I care. I don't think I care. I don't know. I care about the Kai thing, not the suffering. But I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know. It's too much. It's just everything is too much. You know. Granted, it's my own fault. I'm the one constantly scrolling social media and then hearing all this fucked up shit that's happening constantly. Abusive cops, abusive parents, abusive teachers, abusive kids to other kids. You know? And the sad part is the not even the older you get, the more you age, the more time goes on. You feel more and more and more awkward and worried and nervous about just meeting people in general. But I think everyone feels that way a little bit. And then because people are stupid and they go wherever the hive mind is going, just like how when a good chunk of us were in school, think like 10 years ago, at least in my case, 10 years ago, that would have been like, well, that would have been a year after I graduated. So even then, no, 14, or like 15 years ago, 15 to 16 years ago, right? Even before high school, you have language, right? Basically just slangs. People, kids and teenagers incorporating new words into their vocabulary, into their dialect, because everyone around them is saying it. You give a word a new meaning, dope, cuz, huz, whatever else people are saying, But it happens. And then it's kind of funny when you look, as you age and you get older and you look at people who in that moment are the age that you were like years ago. You see it in them and it's funny. It's funny and it's interesting, but it's life. You know what I mean? It's the same way, like, you have, it's like right now I'm 27, right? And if I look at a 50-year-old and they act a certain way or they speak a certain way, it low-key does just feel cringy because they're acting that way because they're specifically talking to me, if that makes sense, an extreme way of putting it, or I guess a more simple way of putting it, one where like it's very, very easy for you to see or for you to understand, is a guy who acts different around acts different around guys compared to girls, pretty much. You're changing the way you are, or like you're changing your responses based on who you're talking to, which that sounds like every conversation, but it's like I don't know how to put it into words, honestly. It's like a 10-year-old, right? And they're talking, or it's like an older cousin, right? Talking to like a 10-year-old cousin, right? Or like a 12-year-old cousin, right? And you can tell the 12-year-old doesn't really care about what you're saying. And it's funny because why they don't care. It's because they're 12. They don't understand why they should want to understand yet, which is funny. We've all gone through it. You know what I mean? And it's even sadder when it's people that are younger than you and they treat you different, as in they treat you almost like not a person. Like, okay, it's like basically the teenagers who don't speak unless prompted to, pretty much, you know. And it's not to say like, oh, you should talk more just because that's just it's polite or whatever the fuck. No, it's more so that we're all submerged into our own inner worlds, right? We're all submerged into our own selves, into our lives, you know. Oh shit! Did I fuck up my? Okay, no, I didn't. Wait, what the hell? I hope I didn't get bird shit on my shoe. That would suck. Um, fuck, I lost my train of thought. But it's, I don't know. I'm just gonna give you an example that I can think of, right? Um, but at the job I currently work, right? There's like I can tell that there's like a difference in the way like I'm perceived, but I just don't know what that perception is. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. And it's really just by like, well, no, and it's not even like a bad thing because really when I think about it, I sit and actually just sit and think about it in my head. It makes sense. It makes complete sense. So I'll kind of just describe it all out, right? I work with a few people that are, well, I don't know. I'd say like half. Well, no. Well, mm, yeah. I'd say like half, or like a little more than half, right? Well, like half the people. Well, no. I guess no. Maybe most of them, right, are like older, much older, like they're 30s or 40s, right, compared to me, and I'm in like my now like late 20s, 27 now, so like entering into my well, yeah, I'm in latter half of my 20s pretty much. Um, and then everyone else who isn't older than me is, or no, I guess yeah, the youngest person out of the older half of the workforce is, I think, like 5 years older than me, right? She's like 5 years older than me, and everyone else who's younger is like basically just graduating high school and they're in college, pretty much. You know, either they've been out for a year or they've been out for like 2 years and they're in college, pretty much. And that's like that's all of it, if that makes sense. But there's a drastic difference from, and it's so interesting because it makes so much sense because it's the same way in a way it's the same way I treat the older people, but I think it's the reasoning that's different. Obviously, I can't read their minds, so I don't know why they treat me the way they do. It's not that it's like a bad thing. It's just like, it's just obviously like you can tell when like they're different from like you have person one, person two, person three, right? Person one talks to person three, um, and when they talk, it's actually like a good back and forth, right? There's actually good back and forth. Um, but then when person one talks to person two, it's just very very brief, you know, or they don't say anything unless person two said something, pretty much, you know. Um, yeah, and the fucked part is like, and I think the sad part is because of who I am, as in, I'm a 27-year-old black guy who's 5'10", you know, and I'm not muscular, but I'm not skinny either. Like I used to be somewhat bulky, and the mass is still there, if that makes sense, but the muscle isn't. It's drastically lower. I have to start working out again. But I think due to those aspects of myself, I understand the way I'm perceived, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Um, and I feel like I also played a big part in fucking up the perception too. Um, yeah, if that makes sense. It's like, I don't know, dude. You know, I asked one. No, no. Well, yeah. I asked one coworker in like a very, very sappy, as in like poor, poorly worded, very, very nervously worded, from my perspective, because I know I was nervous as fuck doing it. Um, Pretty much asked them if they would have wanted to go on like a date after asking, um, like for a good date idea, pretty much, you know. Um, yeah, but they're with someone, and upside on my end, I felt nothing but acceptance. If it was me a few years ago, um, I would have felt bad about it. I would have felt bad and terrible, and then I would have spiraled mentally, um, thinking like what the fuck's wrong with me, you know what I mean? But years later, the current me now, eh, it's whatever. It's you know, it's life, you know. And in reality, it's not even worth it trying to date people um that don't like you. You know, if you meet someone and there's no connection in that moment, or like as you're conversating over time, then there's nothing there. It's either you're never gonna talk to them again, or it's just gonna be or it's gonna be like an acquaintance, an acquaintance, an acquaintance type relationship, or maybe even a friendship, but it'll never really go beyond that. I mean, unless like feelings grow over time, pretty much, you know, which is very likely. You know what I mean? But she's the only one I ever attempted that with, and afterwards, I mean, it was fine. At first, for a while, I thought like, oh great, she's gonna be one of those. I think she's like 19, 18. I don't know, but 18 or 19-year-olds that thinks I'm a fucking weirdo. But I don't know. I mean, she seems, I don't know. But ultimately, the part that the reason why I'll always be confused or be slightly confused is that I'll never really know. Even if even if any of them sit me down and we act like they stare me in their eye or stare me in the eyes and say like they have no I guess ill thoughts towards me, like they don't think anything ill about me, I'm still going to assume it. No, that's wrong. That's not even what I'm thinking. It's it's not that. It's more so, how do I put it? Basically, the point I'm getting at is that a woman can never truly be honest with a guy. Obviously, it's different from like you're in a relationship, then yeah, you're gonna be honest with each other. But I mean, in terms of like strangers, right? Especially like work strangers, right? Because even if you work together, you don't truly know people. You know, you don't really know people. You know, like a surface version of them. You know a mask they put up. Um, but you don't know who they are internally. You don't know what they do late at night. You don't know what they think. You don't know the dark desires they have. You don't know if they have any dark desires. You don't know how long um, they've taken to tame their inner thoughts. You know, or just how they are, how their childhood was, how anything in their life was. You know what I mean? And then sadly, because a lot of people are kind of in an odd way, like not adverse, but it 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 seems very odd and weird if people start asking a lot of questions when they just meet you. But um, that's the only way you get to know people. You know, if you never talk to them and ask them questions, you never really get to know people. You know what I mean? But I guess that's, I don't know. It's always like a sad feeling in me. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. I don't know if someone is treating me nice because they're actually being nice or because they're worried I'm a fucking creeping weirdo and just scary male, you know? Scary human male. You know what I mean? I don't know, you know? It's basically the same type of relationship that everyone has. Like you just don't know if someone's lying to you, but it's just for varying reasons. A rich person doesn't know if someone's being honest or if they want their money. A guy doesn't know if someone's being nice or if they're just scared of a violent of a violent situation happening. You know, you don't know if a guy is being nice to you because he's actually a nice Joe person or if he wants something. You know. And then it's sad because we live in a world and society in a place where governments where 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 you're trapped in a government. You know, you have to wait for something to happen to you for you to get justice. If some guy's creeping on you and you get too close and you cut him, now you're the one in trouble even though the guy was being creepy. You know. I don't know. I feel like that's forever going to be a difficulty. You know. I don't really talk to older people because I feel like what's really the point? They don't want to talk to me. You know. I have no value I can bring into their life. Why would they want to talk to me? I'm like 20 years younger than them. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They don't give a shit, and I don't know. They just it's like what's the point? You know why? You know what I mean? You know. And then what's funny is that's how I feel about people that are younger than me. You know, or that's how I think. That's how I feel that they feel about me. You know. So I don't know. It's just I don't know. I just don't know what to do. How do we actually end all this suffering? You know, how do we how do we genuinely challenge a government where everything exists to maintain its power? You know, how do you legitimately challenge it without getting yourself killed? In terms of you strike as much fear into the government as the government puts fear into everyone. You know, as in so much fear. I don't know, man. I don't know. You could choose to be a terrorist, but that wouldn't last very long. You could choose